Are you ready?
Yeah,
Are you steady?
I'm finding it really funny.
What, are you crying?
It's just fun.
Right.
No, like, think about where we were. Hold on, this will be in the podcast. Ready?
Okay.
Let's go.
And he was like, what do you mean I can't go to work? And I was like, you can't go to work, I'm going to have a baby. And he was like, what do you mean you're going to have a baby? And I was like, I'm going to have a baby in the next 2 hours. I don't know how I would feel if somebody came over to my pram and went, oh, what's in here?
You're saying it in this way because it's something that I do.
It does my head in when something becomes someone's whole personality.
I remember vividly finding all of my teeth when I was about 12 or 13 in this sort of teapot in my mum's cabinet in the dining room.
Oh. And I felt like a little Gush. And I was like, Gush. What was that?
Gully Gush.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Mama Social, the podcast. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Kayleigh, and we're here today to talk motherhood, womanhood and all things adulthood. We want to be your man best mates, your partners in crime, and a safe space for you to be yourself and have a laugh.
So grab yourself a bev and enjoy. Lovely.
Well, that's the official bits out the way. How the devil are you? Can we just have a minute?
What? For this?
Yeah.
Let's have a minute.
For this?
Yeah. We've got mics with, what are these called?
Either a muff.
A muff. We've got muffs with branding.
That is, when we first got together, that's all you wanted.
Muff.
A branded muff.
I know.
And look what we've got.
We could have done it ourselves, but we never did.
Never ever did.
No.
So, yes, we're in a beautiful studio. We've got some friends behind the mics over there.
So it's not just us two dicking about anymore.
Somebody asked that question the other day, about are you going to be as open and as frank when you know people are actually sat listening to you right now? And I was like, yeah, because the people that are on our team just feel like an extension of us anyway.
Absolutely.
But it is weird knowing that there's three people looking at us right now.
You're in for a treat.
So we have missed you all so much, so very much, people. But more than anything, I've just missed having you every single week in my life.
I know.
Like, even though we're on the blower all the time, but like to physically have your presence. What a joy.
I agree. And how nice to just get out the house again.
Yeah. So, we've got a script.
Fancy piece of paper.
A fancy piece of paper. So, we'll just make sure that we're staying on task. So,
and not going off on an absolute tangent all the time.
All the time.
We're going to be a bit more professional.
Try.
Maybe.
Never.
We'll see how it goes.
So, first off, how is it being a mother of two?
Oh,
Let's
my
go
God.
back to the days of single one-man life. And let's go from the very start of
I feel like I took being a mother of one for granted. Now that I'm a mum of two, it's fucking hard work.
Yeah.
It is hard work.
The jump from 1 to 2 is supposedly the hardest jump.
Absolutely.
I've heard 2 to 3 is absolutely no bother.
Yeah, same. I feel like not 1's big shock. 1 to 2, holy hell. And then apparently 2 to 3 is like the third one just slots in, and then the fourth one and the fifth one and however many you fancy, they all just drag each other up.
1 to 5.
Apparently, absolutely not. But I feel like that could be a whole other episode.
So
talking about
I want to know the full story because I haven't had. I don't know if you've noticed. I've not asked the nitty-gritty details of delivery. I know it was a fast one. But I want to, because I was like, I want to hear it.
For the first time.
With our friends on the potty.
On here. Well, obviously, if you have listened to us before, you will know that I had Oaks at 33 and a bit weeks. So when I was pregnant with Ovie, I was under a consultant and I got discharged at 34 weeks, wasn't it? So I'd been discharged, but because Oaks had came early, I still was expecting a little bit of drama. You know what I mean? Like, I was expecting something to happen. And it did.
Were you anxious about that though?
I was never anxious. And I think when I got to the 34-week mark and when I'd been discharged, I feel like I wasn't really that anxious because I knew that Oaks was born at 33 and a bit weeks and like everything was fine. Obviously, apart from a short stint in NICU, he was totally fine. There was nothing like remotely worrying. Well, obviously it was worrying because he was on like oxygen and that for 24 hours. But there was nothing...
Like in hindsight.
Yeah, like in hindsight, we were really, really lucky with Oaks' little NICU journey. So when I got to the 34 weeks, I was like, it's going to be fine. Like, even if they did come this early, they'd be all right. So I was never really...
Nearly fully cooked.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's 37 weeks when they're fully cooked, isn't it? So I almost made it. Almost. It got to... So I'll have been 35-ish weeks, 34 and a bit, 35, just before Christmas. So just before Christmas, there was one day and I was just doing something, whatever. And I felt like a little gush. And I was like, gush. What was that?
Golly Gush.
Golly Gush. What was that, Gush? So I went to the toilet. And there wasn't really anything there. So I was like, there was no gush. But it felt like there was a little gush.
But were your pants wet?
Really a gush. Nah. So like when I wiped, there was a tiny bit of like discharginess. Okay. But I know that discharge is normal in pregnancy and yada yada. So I did what I probably shouldn't have done and ignored it.
Standard.
For another few days because I thought, I am so busy at work right now. It is almost Christmas. I have got too much to do. I'm not ready to have a baby yet. And I had no other like signs of labour or anything like that. So then a few days passed. Christmas was out the way. And I was actually sat, right? Glenn was on night shift. I was sat watching Saltburn.
I've never watched it, you know.
Oh my God. And there was that huge hype about it being like the weirdest film and like so strange.
You know I'm cockly. And like, it was on Gogglebox. There was a part where he licked something out the bath and I can only imagine that it was cum. I don't know why.
Yeah, it was. Sorry if you haven't watched it.
I just had no idea what the hell was going on. And I thought, I'm going to vomit all the way through this. So it's a no from me.
Yeah. So it was...
No, I'm not.
It was the 29th of December that I watched Saltburn. I put Oaks to bed and I just got on the settee to have a chilled night to myself and I thought, I need to see what all the fuss is about. I need to watch Saltburn. So watch Saltburn.
What's it about?
It's just weird. I don't even know. It was weird. Like I got to the end of it and I thought, why have I just sat through that? But I couldn't turn it off because I needed to know what everyone was going on about. But anyway, at the end, I stood up to go to the toilet and I noticed that there was like a fist-sized wet patch on my pyjama bottoms.
And you didn't feel it come out?
Nah. So since I felt the little gush, I'd felt the odd other little gush, but there was never anything there. But I'd been wearing a panty liner because I just thought I was having a little bit of discharge. Looking back now, I know that obviously my waters were breaking.
You had a slow
and
release.
that it was clear, so I couldn't see it. So me being me, thick twat I am. Yeah. So
not a thick twat because that happened with me, remember?
Yeah.
And she said I had a sweaty vagina and I had to go home.
Yes.
So for 4 weeks I was leaking and it's not water, but it's not.
Yeah, like it didn't. Like,
you go, oh, maybe it is just sweat.
There would be the odd time where I'd be moving about and I'd feel something and I'd be like, oh. But then I'd go to the toilet and I'd be like, there's nothing there. Nothing's happening. So like, what is it? But yeah.
Now, you know, ladies, that it's definitely something. So go and get it looked at.
Yes.
So you had your fist sized.
Yeah. So I had a good little wet patch on my pyjama bottoms and I thought, I really don't think I've wet myself. So I don't think that's normal. So rang the hospital. They told us to come in and get checked. My mum came with us because Glenn was on night shift. And And I was just like, you don't have to come with us. Don't be daft, man. There's nothing the matter. Like, I'm in no pain or anything like that. Like, I'm not in labour. Da, da, da. And my mum was like, no, I'm coming with you. So she came and I waited for ages to be seen. Then was finally seen. Midwife did some checks and confirmed that my waters were breaking. And when she said that, it was like panic. No, I didn't panic, but like this whole feeling of like shit came over us because I thought, I'm not prepared. Even though I was a lot more prepared than last time. I've had my hospital bag packed since I was like 20 weeks or something, just in case something crazy happened again. But like, I wasn't prepared. Like, I just put Oaks to bed and I just wasn't prepared to have another child right then. So she said, your waters are broke. Well, they're breaking. And then she was like, I'll have to go and have a word with the doctor because he might want to induce you now, keep you in, or send you home. And I was like, I might be getting induced. Oh my God, I might be getting induced.
Did you take your bag with you at all?
Yeah, I did take it with us. But like, it was just all sinking in. And I was like, not ready. I'm not ready. Anyway, she spoke to the doctor and he did say I had to stay in for 3 days, be given the antibiotics, and then was getting a date for an induction. So stayed in that night. The next day, they came around, like, checked to see if I was all right and stuff. There was no other signs of labour. And I said to one of the nurses, I was like, please, can I go home? Like, and she was like, you've got to stay in for 3 days. And I was like, I know, but I'm all right. I'm really close to the hospital. I've got a toddler at home who I felt so guilty because I felt like I hadn't prepared Oaks enough, that one day I was going to go to the hospital and come home with a baby. Like, we hadn't even had that conversation. Like, obviously you knew there was a baby in my belly, but I felt like I hadn't prepared him enough, and I was like, please, can I go home? And the letters. So I got the antibiotics.
You sent us a picture in the hospital and I was like, oh my God. I was in, because the picture looked like you'd had the burn.
Yeah.
You were tiny.
At an angle where you couldn't see the bump.
I was like, what on earth? And you were like, no, and took another one. Because you looked exactly the same. Like,
I must have dropped. I must have been dropping.
You were full on dropping. I was in panic. I was like, what's happened? What? Anyway.
So then it took them absolutely ages to get me antibiotics. So I didn't get discharged from the hospital until about 2:30. So as the day was going on, I was just having a lovely day lying in this hospital bed, reading my book in silence, heaven. And Glenn picked us up. When he picked us up, just as I was leaving, I said to the nurse, I don't know if I'm starting to get a few pains or if it's just like in my head, because I know that my waters are trickling. And she was like, well, you know where we are if you need us. So I was like, okay. I got in the car and I was like, I'm getting a few crampy pains, mine, Glenn. And he was like, oh, it's in your head. He was just the same as me. He was like, it'll be in your head, man. It's like your waters are breaking. So I was like, right, okay. And what I am like is I like to suffer in silence. I don't like to let on how much things are bothering us, or like
you explode.
You'll
be suffering in silence, and then vroom.
Yeah, I suppose in more ways than one then. Yeah. So I was like, the pains were coming, really, really dull cramps, but they were getting more, and I was starting to get a bit paranoid, and I was thinking, am I going to go into labour? Like, am I actually going into labour? Even though when the examined us the night before, my cervix was closed. Like, obviously my waters were just trickling. And yeah, so Glenn was about to go on night shift. So 5:30, he was about to leave the house to get to work for 6 o'clock. And about the hour before, I'd washed my hair and I was trying to dry it, and I kept getting the pains, and I was like, I'm in a lot of pain. Like, I'm getting a lot more pains now. And he was like, you'll be all right, man. Just get your mum round just in case anything happens. Like, you might need to go to the hospital in the morning. Like, got a 5:30. He was about to walk out the door and I went, you can't go. And he was like, what? I went, you can't go to work. And he was like, what do you mean I can't go to work? And I was like, you can't go to work. I'm going to have a baby. And he was like, what do you mean you're going to have a baby? He's like, you've been discharged from hospital this afternoon. You're fine. And I was like, I'm going to have a baby in the next 2 hours. And he was like, are you being serious? And I was like, yes, I'm being serious. I'm going to have a baby in the next 2 hours. So he rang his boss and he was like, Lauren's thinks she's in labour. And he must have been saying, are you sure? So Glenn was like, are you sure, Lauren? Are you positive? And I was like, I'm fucking positive. I am going to have a baby in the next 2 hours. So then he didn't go to work. And then I sat and I thought, am I going to have a baby in the next 2 hours? Am I going to regret making him stay off work? I'm going to feel really bad if he stayed off work for no reason. Rang the hospital and I was like, I think I'm in labour. I've been in last night. And she was like, your contractions aren't far enough apart.
Get in the bath.
Aren't close enough together. Get in the bath. Obviously, get in the bath. So I was like, right, okay. So about an hour later, I rang them again, get in the bath. I think I got told 3 or 4 times to get in the bath. And I think the 4th time they told us to get in the bath, I was like, please don't tell me to get in the bath again. I am sweating to death. Like, I am sweating. And they kept telling us, obviously, me contractions weren't close enough together or long enough to come in. And I was like, but I was in last night. My waters have been breaking. My last child came extremely quick. Can I please come in? And they were like, would I advise you waiting at home? And I was like, I was starting to panic because then the pains were getting really bad. But I don't know about, like, when both times that I've been in labour, right, I've really, really doubted whether I'm in labour. Like, did you know? Even though I knew that my waters were trickling, okay, there was still a bit of us that was like, am I in labour?
So both times I was induced, remember? So it was, but there was a running joke with my mate because for 10 weeks, this is no joke with either, for 10 weeks, I was like, I'm in labour because of this Braxton piss and hicks or whatever they're called.
Well, like, what I thought the both of, like,
felt like I was in labour and everyone was just, by the end of 41 weeks, they were like, you're taking the piss now. And I was like, I'm not taking the piss. I want this baby out. But yeah, like, it is a proper weird phase to be in where you're like,
I feel like
is this it?
I knew, but I still was like in the back of my mind doubting whether I was actually in labour. And I don't know why.
Is it because, how's your periods? Are they painful?
Nah.
So, like, I feel like the start of labour is just like a really bad period.
That is what I imagine.
And then it goes
like
from
bad
0
like.
to 100 straight away.
Well, yeah.
Like,
it does.
And then you're in labour and there's nothing you can do about it. But that what's it called again? Latent stage labour or somewhere. It's like your early part of labour.
Possibly.
Where it's just like uncomfortable, crampy.
Yeah. And I remember saying to Glenn at one point, right, I was like, get the birthing ball out. Never had a chance to go on the birthing ball with Oaks because obviously that just happened ridiculously quick. And I was like, get the birthing ball out. I want to bounce around. Right, we'll wait for a McDonald's to come. We'd ordered a McDonald's. So he got it out, blew it up. I sat on it. I went, fuck that. How do people do that?
What's class? I lived on my ball.
Absolutely knacked. But obviously now because I'll have been canny dilated. So the baby's head was probably like just right there, like thingying off the ball. So I was like, oh, no, not for me. Like, no. The McDonald's arrived at the same time as my mother arrived because I just had to ring her and say, you're going to have to just head over now because I'm going to have to leave for the hospital. It's very soon. And my mum was like, just ring them back and tell them that your contractions are this close together and da-da-da. And I was like, I can't lie. But then I did end up ringing them and I just cried my eyes out down the phone. And I was like, look, I'm getting really worried because my other baby came so quickly and I'm in a lot of pain. Like, a lot of pain now. And she was like, right, just come in. And if by any chance you give birth in the car, just ring 999. And I was like, what? What? Like, what kind of thing is that to say to someone who was probably about to give birth in a car? So anyway, we went to the hospital. So we got to the hospital exactly 2 hours since I said to Glenn, I'm going to give birth in 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And got examined. I was 7 centimetres dilated.
Mm-hmm.
How many minutes until he was out? Less than
15,
half an hour, I think.
I'm sure you said 15.
I can't remember how many minutes now, but it was definitely less than half an hour. And he was there.
So you went from 7 centimetres to 10 in less than half an hour?
Yeah.
It's intense.
It was intense.
Yeah. But at least it was quick.
It was quick. You know what? I wouldn't change it. I like how my body has, like...
Because imagine,
has
like,
babies.
A lot of women have that
really,
period for 12, 15 hours. Like, no. Like, everybody would choose that way.
Being 7 centimetres dilated for like a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That must be absolute agony.
Not cool.
Like absolute agony. I remember, obviously, she was examining me, and she was like, the only thing keeping that baby in is your waters, because your waters haven't fully gone. Mm-hmm. There's still like some waters in front, and I was like, pop them, pop them, pop them, pop them. I just kept saying pop them really aggressively.
Have you seen the knit needle that they use?
No, I don't want to. And she was like, well, we won't do that just yet. I'll just do a few more checks. And then I remember she was like pulling some things out of the cupboards at the other side of the room. I thought you would have seen your fanny. Pulling some things out of the cupboards on the other side of the room, and I'm like lying, obviously having contractions with me gas and air. And then all of a sudden the water's just gushed, and I was like, water, like again, really aggressively. And she was like, okay. And then she came over on the bed, and at this point I couldn't like I know loads of people say to not give birth on your back, but I was most comfortable like on my back, but not on my back. So I was like on my back, but like with my bum propped up slightly, because I couldn't put my bum down. But it's the only way I could get comfy, kind of like on my back, but on my side a bit, and thingy it up. And then the feeling came, and she was like, do you feel like you want to push? And I was like, yeah, I need to push. And she was like, okay, next contraction, push. So pushed, and then the head must have been there. And she was like, I just remember her saying to us, you know when you're doing gas and air, and like you feel a bit like you're not really in the room. I just remember her being like, Lauren, I need you to listen to me. The next time you have a contraction, you need to push really hard. So
why? Why was she?
Because I think the head must have got the head out, and then I needed to push the body out.
Okay. So I thought she was telling you like there was something wrong.
No. She was just like really trying to get in there and make us push. Because I feel like you just go into this like zone. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I pushed, and the baby was out. And
so in 2 pushes.
2 pushes.
Where's Glenn at this point?
Glenn was sat next to us, patting my shoulder. Because I think
well done, darling.
I think at one point, he gets really like, not freaked out, but like, I don't think he knows what to do. I don't think
think many do. Point, it's such a weird thing.
He got very close to us, and I think I was like, get away from me. Because I get like so hot and so sweaty, I can't bear. Mm-hmm. I can't bear anyone near us. So he was just like patting us on the shoulder. And then I had a baby. And I had a baby that was put on my chest.
Oh, which was taken away.
The most beautiful feeling after last time to be able to actually have that and everything be fine. Mm-hmm. Or so I thought.
Yeah.
So, I knew because, so when was he born? He was born at 36, just over 36 weeks. So he was still classed as premature. So I knew that I was going to have to stay in hospital for 3 days because he was premature. Mm-hmm. So we got whisked off to our lovely maternity room where, again, just had my little baby. And it was just lovely because I never had that last time. Mm-hmm. And we got to about 20 hours in, maybe. So we'd done one night. Had we done one night? Yes, because what time did I give birth? Yeah, late at night. So we'd done the night. We were into the next night, and some of the nurses were doing their rounds. and Ovie hadn't pooed.
And they normally poo within like an hour or so, don't they? To get the
so.
tar.
Meconium? Yeah, meconium. So, I decided to bottle feed. So I gave him a bottle as soon as he was born, and he took about 40 mils.
Mm-hmm.
Then his next feed, a few hours later, he took a bit less, maybe like 25. Then a few hours later, he took a bit less than that. A few hours later, less than that. So his feeding was getting worse, and he wasn't pooing. And he'd started to like, he just wasn't interested in the bottle. He didn't want to be fed. So when I was trying to feed him, I was like trying to force feed him. And he hadn't pooed. So when they came around to do some checks, they were like, oh, not very happy with that, because he'd started being sick as well.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, not very happy with that. We're going to have to get some of the neonatal nurses to come and have a look. So some of the neonatal nurses came around to have a look, and they were like, right, we're just going to put a suppository up his bum to try and get things moving. So they were like doing all that. And they tried to put like this little tablet-y gel thing up his bum, but it wasn't going up. Like they were getting it in, but it was pushing straight back out. So they were like, there's something going on. I think there's some kind of obstruction.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to take him round neonatal. So then I was like, oh, for God's sake, like why again am I ending up in NICU, and what is happening? And ugh. But still at this point, I didn't think that what was going to happen was about to happen. So I went round to neonatal, and this is when obviously the neonatal doctor came in, and he was like, obviously you listen to everyone talking around you and you try and take in the information.
But they're not really talking to you.
No, they weren't talking to me.
But
they
you're
were talking
trying
to each
to,
other, but I'm trying
that
to
must be so frustrating.
like grasp what they're all saying to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And he needed an X-ray and stuff. And then it was when he said, we'll send this to the surgeon at the RVI. And I was like, surgeon? Like, what? And I remember I was just sat there, and I was just, tears were just coming. And I was like, what? Like, why does he need surgery?
Can someone talk to me?
Like, so then obviously they did explain, but they didn't know what, like nobody knew what obviously they knew what they were explaining, but nobody knew what the problem was, so nobody could actually tell us properly. So basically they thought there was an obstruction in his bowel, but they couldn't really see much on the X-ray. So we needed to go to the RVI for further investigation. So the next day so New Year's Day, Happy New Year to us, blue lighted to the RVI, where again there was like loads of surgeons and doctors coming in and looking at him and prodding his bumhole and having a look at everything, and they still didn't know where the blockage was or like what was happening. But basically what New Year's Day, I can't really remember it very much, because it was just, I don't think I've ever cried so much in my life. Like, not knowing what was wrong, not knowing what was about to happen, and just feeling so, like, helpless and shit.
Out of control.
Also,
they're your peak times for your baby blues.
Yeah.
Like, full of hormones, full of absolute anxiety through the roof, irrespective of potential surgery on your newborn.
It was like, I can just barely remember the day, and I just remember it, at the end of the day, one of the doctors had said, look, he's on the waiting list for surgery tomorrow. We're going to they're probably going to take him down. They'll need to go in. So they'll need to go in, see where this obstruction is, and attach a stoma bag so that he can empty his bowels, and then we'll probably have to operate in another few months to correct whatever needs correcting. And I was just like, stoma bag? Like what on earth? Like, you just don't expect that. You do not expect that. And I was like, what do I do? Like, what what do you mean, a stoma bag? Like, your baby's going to have a stoma bag? And I freaked. Like, when she said the words to us, I remember I was just sat and I was just like shaking, crying, like couldn't stop crying. But then obviously I had to stay in the hospital with him. Glenn went home and I kind of came to terms with it. I kind of was just like, right, it's not the end of the world. It's just something we're going to have to figure out. But yeah, I didn't sleep very well that night. And then the next day, the actual consultant came in who was going to be doing his surgery, and he had a look. And he basically said, that's not happening. So when he was like, when I said to him, I've been told he's going to have a stoma bag, you're going to need to, because I thought that we're going to have to go in like through his belly, have a look at his bowels and stuff, see where everything was and what was wrong, attach the stoma bag and then operate again in a few months' time. And he was like, no, that's not happening. I can see the meconium just there. So he was sticking like this little straw type thing, like up his bum to have a look.
Like a torch on.
With his phone torch on the end.
The NHS.
So he was like, no, I can see it just there. And he was like, he drew us a picture and he was like, this is what's happening. He was like, his bowel. So the easiest way of putting it is his bowel wasn't fully connected to his bum hole, but they were extremely close. Like, they were very, very close, where when he was looking up, he could see the very end of the bowel with meconium like ready to come out, but they just needed putting together and a little hole making to like, so it was a fully functioning butthole. So he was like, forget the stoma bag, that's not happening. He was like, it's going to be really quick, easy, this.
Perfect.
And I was like, oh, thank God.
Where were you yesterday?
I know.
Would have been nice to sleep.
I know. So yeah, he was taken down for surgery that afternoon, and walking your like 2-day-old, 3-day, he might have been then, no, 2 days to surgery is horrific. Absolutely horrific. Like, they're so tiny. Like, he's so tiny and needed surgery. They said he was going to be face down with his little bum in the air, and like, obviously they've got to go through all the risks with you, and it's awful. But he had the surgery and it went fine.
Shitting like a trooper.
Oh, they said it was just waiting all that to come out. And yeah, he pooed absolutely fine after that. He has got a fully functioning bumhole now that works absolutely fabulously.
Will he need any more like checkups or anything like that?
So he's had like a review, is it? And all fine, everything's fine. They did say that in like years' time, when it comes to maybe potty training him and stuff, he'll probably have a few more accidents than the normal child, because, as the consultant kept putting it, his bum hole isn't as nature intended.
So the sphincter doesn't shut off, is like the way that ours does. Or that his asshole.
His what?
Sphincter. That's what it's called, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bum holes.
Anus.
This bit.
That, yeah.
So he might not have as much control.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but hopefully not.
Hopefully, yeah.
No, like, hopefully no problems.
Yes.
Like, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully there'll be no further problems.
And then you came home.
Oh yeah, after like 2 weeks. He did a longer stint in neonatal than Oaks did. Oaks did 11 days, he did 14. And it was really frustrating at the end, because what was keeping him in was jaundice. So he ended up with jaundice, and he just couldn't manage his levels. And
you kept sending us pictures of him in a little sunbed.
Oh yeah, he was in like a little sunbed with little sunglasses on.
It's a bit like this lighting, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a bit like that.
With these little sunglasses.
It was, but yeah, that was. I just remember, like, neonatal is it's a whole like journey. Like, being in there and having a baby in there, it's not how you expect to start being a mum or being a mum of two. And it is, I know everyone's journey is different, but I found it 10 times harder with a toddler at home because I felt so guilty that I wasn't there with Oaks. Like, because I was there with Ovie and I missed Oaks so much. Because then when it got to like almost the end of Ovie's neonatal journey, I was rooming in with him from like the Sunday until the Thursday. So I hadn't seen Oaks for like 4 or 5 full days by the time we got out. And I just felt so bad.
Yeah. And the guilt just continues to go on and on, like when you have 2 kids. Because if one of them's poorly, like the other one wants you, breastfeeding, the other one wants you. It's just a constant battle. Sorry.
Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but the guilt never ends.
Never, ever ends. Even because obviously I put the kids to bed quite often by myself, as do you. When he gets older, which one do you go to first, right? Which one will go down the easiest? Which one? Oh, it's a hot mess.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the minute, you don't even want to know our bed situation.
It's just everybody in one, innit?
Yeah, we're just all in one.
Get rid of your massive 4-bedroom house and just 1-bedroom flat.
I know.
Save some
I keep
pennies.
going in Oaks' bedroom and I keep thinking, what a waste.
What a waste
all of this is.
When
we're all in one bed at the minute.
Awful.
I quite like it.
It's not going to be a forever thing. What? Eva sleeps, if she's in our bed, she's got her feet in my face, head in Dale's face. Like, why can't they sleep normal?
I don't know.
They fall asleep that way, but then...
He doesn't like to be in the blanket. He likes to be in the middle of me and Glenn. Doesn't like to be under the quilt, so it makes it awkward for us to have, like, to get the quilt. And yeah, sideways.
Lunatics. Well, thanks for sharing that with us.
You're very welcome.
I'm glad I waited.
My children obviously just like to give me a bit of trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bless you, man.
A lot of trauma, really.
So, do you want to do my favourite segment?
Go on then, what is it?
The Pits and Peak of the Week.
I feel like we need to do Pits and Peaks of the year so far.
Yes, let's do that, please.
Pits and Peaks.
I have been writing some down, you know.
Have you?
But some I can't say.
Why?
You know, when you just like something irritates you and you go, I've moved on from that now.
Oh, you know what? I've actually wrote one thing down on my phone that irritated me.
What?
But I don't think it's going to be part of Pits and Peaks, but it was just one thing that I thought, I'm going to put this in a podcast note in my phone for something to talk about.
Read it.
Let me get my phone.
I will have a sip of tea.
It is. And I'll tell you what it's about. Right, wait there. So, unsolicited parenting advice. The woman who keeps messaging me about vaccines. Because, right?
Oh my God, this woman is definitely going to be listening.
I know, imagine. I don't reply. But I just think, piss off.
What'd she say?
So, well, actually, there's a couple of them. There's a couple of people.
About vaccines?
Yeah. So, obviously, over the last however many weeks, Ovie has now had 3 sets of vaccinations. You know, what you get. Your choice. You know, if you don't want your kids to be vaccinated, absolutely fine by me.
Or they're telling you not to.
Yeah. So, I've...
They don't give you the babies the COVID jab though, right?
Oh, no, nothing to do with COVID. Like, you know, just the usual.
Right.
So, I've, like, put on my Instagram, like, taking Ovie for his injections today. 2nd lot of injections today. 3rd lot of injections today. Every single time there's been a couple of people that have messaged us saying, please do your research on the vaccines. Please watch this reel about all the ingredients that are in this. You are doing this to your child. And I think, hold on a minute. Like, imagine if I was actually an anxious as hell mum. And then that I was going to be like, sitting in a corner, rocking backwards and forwards, thinking, oh my God, I've murdered my child. Just don't do that. if I'd put on my Instagram story,
somebody gives me some advice on,
I'm looking for some advice. What do you think about the vaccines? Or like them being vaccinated? Then maybe tell me. But if I'm not asking, don't tell us.
and they'll be thinking, I just want her to know. But know what? Because all the research you're getting is some wifey on a reel on Instagram.
Yeah, no.
You haven't sat and done a doctorate
No.
or looked through some journals. You're just watching some...
But I just think, like, I've done it
Loony.
now, so what? Like, you're just going to make us anxious if I do watch that reel. And it tells us that my baby's arms are going to drop off.
Or it's
Or
linked to
something
autism.
Like, I hate it. I would just never go out of my way to tell someone that they were, like, doing something wrong if they hadn't asked, even though it's not wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God. On that vein, I was going to be that person the other day and I stopped myself.
What?
So I was away at the weekend and there was a woman who had, it was pretty hot where we were, and
She had
a blanket over the top of our pram. And I was like, and it was get thick. And I was like, she's cooking that baby in that pram. She's cooking the baby in the pram. And Dale was like, just leave it. I was like, no, because maybe she doesn't know. Because I remember doing that, like when the kids were tiny. And then I went, I'm going to have to go and say something.
But surely nobody would know and then do it.
Well,
Do you know what I mean? So she can't have known.
I know.
She can't have.
I went over with all guns blazing, like I was going to.
Pulled it off.
I went, I was like, hello. And I just introduced myself, started talking about work because I thought then people don't think you're psychotic. And I was like, oh, what have you got? That little
What have you got under there?
What's under there?
Piece of crispy bacon.
And
That's
she
not
pulled
funny.
she pulled the blanket off to show us.
And she had nothing in the pram.
No, there was a baby in the pram.
Oh, I thought you were
And she put
the shopping in there.
she put the blanket underneath, and I was like, right, I'll not.
The blanket's off.
The blanket's off, because I knew what she was doing was really wrong. But how can you, in that way of going, because imagine if she's like, yeah, but I'd rather heat than UV.
Yeah.
But no parent would want that.
No.
So she just didn't know. So I'm glad I just, what is under here? Walked away, went back to the table, Dale went, that was the most uncomfortable thing I've just witnessed.
I don't know how I would feel if somebody came over to my pram and went, oh, what's under here?
No, I didn't walk straight up. We were talking for about a minute and all the time I'm thinking, get that blanket off. Get that blanket off.
Right.
So now I'm thinking, I did look absolutely lunatic.
Yeah, you will have.
Oh well, at least you didn't cook your child.
Yeah. I mean, she might put it back on later on.
Oh, I hope not. It was so thick, Lauren. It was like 3 dog. You know, like a winter wool. Like, anyway, the baby was really pretty. God bless its soul. She was really lovely, actually. So, my pits of this week.
The
ones that I can
just
give.
Any pig.
He's one. Just one that popped out at us. Who the fuck's Becky?
Who's Becky?
Who the fuck's Becky?
Who's Becky? Becky with the good hair.
Well, I got in Dale's van to go and get some food for us. And I was driving along and all the Bluetooth names came up. Kayleigh, Dale, Aaron, Will. These are people that work for Dale.
Right, okay, so who connects to the Bluetooth in the van?
Becky.
Who is Becky?
Who the fuck is Becky?
I'm excited to know who Becky is.
My cortisol levels through the roof. I was like, who the fuck's
surely
Becky?
nobody's that thick.
But that's how people get caught. Who the fuck's Becky?
Right.
So I then started thinking all the way home. I was fuming. I pulled on the drive, ready to go and kick some ass. And I instantly realised that Aaron's wife's called Becky.
Oh, what's she been doing in the car? What's she been doing with Aaron's wife? Oh, wait. So Becky's been
in the van with Aaron.
Right, okay. I thought you meant Dale had been. But what the hell's he doing with his friend's wife?
No, so Aaron, the lads sometimes take the vans home.
Right.
So Becky's obviously been in the van with Aaron. Now I'm thinking that now Dale's having an affair with Becky. But yeah, you know, when you have 10 minutes of pure panic of like, who the fuck's Becky? So that was one that went in the peak. I went home, told Dale, and he said, you're a psycho. And I was like, yes, I am. Big ass Dale and Fred.
Big ass.
Big ass. Dale and Fred. Don't know. Can't tell
Did
you.
Did say you've got a big ass?
Probably. Freddie probably said I've got a big ass. I have an ick to share, but we'll go over that later. Freddie's nosebleeds are back.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that's fun. Since we've been away, he's had a lot of tests done. And I think he's got allergic rhinitis.
What?
Which is an allergy, but which gives you glue ear, nosebleeds, congestion, all the stuff that Freddie's got on top of this objective tinnitus. So he's on like antihistamines, he's on nasal sprays, and bless his little heart, he's an absolute legend. And they'd gone for a few months, and now they've come back, and they're proper bad. Like, came in the other day because the doctor had said to Dale, do you know how to stop the nosebleeds? Dale was like, well, Kayleigh's the whiz at them.
How do you stop them? Head down, pinch the nose?
Well, like he said, because of people choking or going in their lungs, you're not allowed to put the head back anymore. And he said, what you need to do is sit him over a sink with his mouth open and let it come out of his mouth while nipping the front of his nose. Get an ice pack and put it on the back of his head. So I said, well, we don't do that. I slightly tip his head back, nip the front of his nose.
So you choke him.
And just a little bit of a choke. But it stops, right? So it was this time last week, Dale rang us. He was like, where you at? I was like, oh, I'm just walking in the house. He was like, we're having a little bit of a nosebleed, you know, when somebody's really calm.
Like, but really on the inside, they're panicking.
It was like, it was like he was dying. The blood was everywhere. And Dale just had him over the sink, like mouth full on, like a tap coming out of his mouth. And Freddie is so calm, but he was just like, just kept spitting it out and spitting that. And I was like, okay, how long has this been going on? Dale was like, about 10 minutes. I was like, at this level? He was like, yeah. I was like, Eve was just running around wanting to grab toilet paper from every toilet because Dale, we must have been saying, Eva, we need some toilet paper because I wasn't there. And I was like, okay, can I take over? And Dale was like, yes. And I was like, so I did my usual thing. And it's not like a right tilt back. It's like what I've got my head now, just like slightly above like normal. And Freddie was going, but Mammy, the doctor didn't say. I was like, but darling, it's not stopping. So let's, Mammy will stop it like she does. Got an ice pack, stop, and it stopped. And I was like, I'd much prefer the stoppage than all of that. There was so much blood.
I'm surprised he doesn't get scared.
He used to.
Yeah.
But I think because we're
so calm.
Faking it.
Yeah.
Proper faking it. And there has been like sometimes that he's cried about them, like, because it must be scary, but
yeah, it must be.
So they've come back, which is fun. So when we were away at the weekend, obviously sent him down with his little medicine bag, and I'd said, oh, his nosebleeds are back. He's this, do that. And I thought, bloody hell. Sorry to scare you. It's like, but if it's longer than this, 15 minutes, then phone the hospital. So it's just a constant thing because Thursday, the school rang us 4 times. He's having another one.
Oh, God.
So it's on my list.
They've got
Aye. But they said the only, because they rang an ambulance once. Did I tell you about that last year?
The ambulance.
But they said they're not big ones, we're just letting you know. And I was like, all right, no bother. So it's just another thing to bloody think about. I thought this would have been like a really fun first podcast to come back with, but we've been quite serious.
We just need to get all the like deep drama stuff out the way.
But my peak of this week, went to Harrogate for the first time.
Oh, lovely. Was it nice?
Stunning.
Did you go to the Ivy?
for breakfast the next
Did ya?
morning.
I've never been. I don't know why I'm saying it. Like, I know like where you've been and stuff, but I just know there's an Ivy in Harrogate, and
Stunning.
I know that the Ivy's meant to be nice, so I've also never been there. I don't know why I'm talking.
How do you even know that?
I don't know.
It was beautiful. The toilets had flamingos everywhere, so it's very inapt to this place that we're in right now.
Yeah.
But no, it was gorgeous. It was next door to that famous tea shop, Miss Betty's, or
right.
Betty's Tea Rooms.
I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah.
But it was 8:30 and there was already a queue of people.
Really?
It didn't open till 9. When we came out at 9:30, because this Ivy opened at 8:30, the queue was round the block.
What the hell?
I
What
was
does it
like-
smell like?
Like
Like
breakfast,
big buns?
tea and coffee and cakes.
Lovely.
So we didn't go in there. But no, it was lush. 9:30, we were in bed, mortal. It's just perfect in every way.
Sounds phenomenal, apart from the mortal part. I honestly, I think I might stop drinking.
I loved it last year, stopped drinking.
Well, I've drank once. I went to Charlotte's engagement party. And I just have no desire within us to do it again. I didn't have fun. I had fun at the party, but I didn't have fun being drunk.
Yeah.
Don't like it anymore.
Didn't you just ask me to go for a wine after this?
Yeah, one wine. I think I just lied about not wanting to drink.
No, but I get...
No, but like one's
mortal.
fine. Do you know what I mean? Like one's all right. But like I don't want to go on a night out.
Yeah, I get what you mean. But I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Right, being drunk again. Because last year when I wasn't drinking, I was one of them pretentious knobheads. I'm so clear in my head. I'm so focused on my job. Oh, shut up and stop being wet. That was the conversation I had.
Do you want to know? I have an ick, okay, but it's just like a general like ick of people. I can't, not that I can't bear it.
You're saying it in this way because it's something that I do.
It does my head in when something becomes someone's whole personality.
Yeah.
You know, like if someone goes vegan and then all of a sudden, like, it's just...
That would be me.
That is everything about them. Like, their whole personality is vegan.
That was me about not drinking.
You with the not drinking. Your whole personality was sober.
I'm so sober. I remember Dale going, I didn't marry this person. I married the wine
I married
head.
the drunk one. I married the
Bring
piss
the fun one back.
Right.
Right.
Let me do pits and peaks because I've got a really good peak.
Oh, come on then.
Glenn got a new car.
Not the...
He got a new car that has 4 doors that you can actually fit children in the back.
He's now a father.
It's still low, so you do break your back slightly, putting a car seat in, but he got a new car.
Well done, Glenn.
Well done.
Well done. Welcome to parenthood. Welcome to parenthood. Back to our script.
Come on then.
I don't know where we are. Oh,
I've
here.
dropped mine on the floor.
Weekly, we've done that. Oh, we did everything the wrong way around. Sorry, guys. Our new feature, Kayleigh's Fact of the Week.
Right.
Fact of the Week. Lauren really tried to fight against this.
Because I hate it.
Well, I think it's going to be fun.
Right, come on and
so
give us
each
a
week, you beautiful listeners, viewers now on these
I feel like
4D
we should
cameras.
obviously
I don't
do
even know if
this.
they're 4D.
It's going to be in the first episode, and then we're going to have to put it to a public vote of whether people want the facts of the week.
We want the facts. Okay, so I'm going to do this one, but I'm also going to give you another one because I feel like this one's been overdone. But I'll tell you the tale, right? So when flamingo parents are raising their chicks, they can be drained of their colour so much that they plumage feathers. That their feathers turn a pale pink, plumage, and even white. The parents gain the colour back eventually as the chicks become independent and then can eat on their own.
Right, so there's been a lot about this on social media because there's that trending audio that's like about flamingos losing their pink and people are obviously relating it to mothers losing themselves after childbirth. Is this true or false though?
So this...
Is it true? Is it true?
So last week I came in fuming, I was, because I was like, it's a fucking lie. That fact that everybody's going on about and doing loads of reels about, it's nonsense because we were at the Wildlife Centre, Washington Wildlife. What is that? What it's called?
Yeah, wetlands.
Wetlands. And unbelievable day out. If you're from the northeast, go. Loads of flamingos there. And Freddie asked the question. Was there any
white ones?
No. They were all pink, and they were like, has anybody got any questions? And we were just talking about it while we were walking around. So Freddie said, when they become mummies, did they lose their pink? And they were like, no. And they looked at him like he had 3 heads. They were like, absolutely not. They're always pink because of what they eat. And I was like, it's a lie. It's a lie. But then our peeps have done the fact checking. Supposedly it is actually true.
It's true.
So the people at Washington Wetlands or whatever it's called don't know their stuff.
But surely they do if there's flamingos that live there.
I know, this is the thing that's confusing me. So Kayleigh's fact of the week is,
even if it's
not quite
true,
sure.
It's a nice little...
The other fact, right, is I sent Sarah loads. I just spammed her the other day. Do you know... that it's your family choice, your family's choice to bury you with your bra on or not? I don't want to be buried in my bra.
What?
I want to be comfortable on the other side.
What?
Like, here's me bra and pants. No, I'm all right. Stick a dress on.
Okay.
Isn't that weird?
But I thought that you would, like, if you're in a coffin, people pick what you wear.
Yeah, but I didn't know it would be the full undergarments.
Yeah, I suppose. Just imagine someone putting your bra on when you're dead bod.
Would they be frozen?
I don't know, Kayleigh. I do not know the answer to that. I'm guessing not.
You know, with rigor mortis.
I don't know.
Because my tits don't live where they once were. They slightly go under my armpits when I lie backwards. They're going to have to... Guys, if any of you are morticians, please get in touch. I'd like to know.
What?
Is that what it's called? Mortician?
No.
Morticia?
Nah.
Is she out of
Adam's
family?
It's a...
Morgue man.
A morgue man, yeah.
No, but what is it called?
I don't know, an embalmer. Isn't it?
Mortician.
Called,
it's got to be a mortician.
Embalming. My mum always wanted to do that. She's weird like that.
Psycho.
I know. Mm-hmm.
Right, so we will get better facts of the week. Ones that we've fully fact-checked because they looked at us like I was not making any sense. So, Lauren's feature of the week. Woo! I'm trying to make like something fun. No?
Right, so we are wanting everyone to get involved, right? We're wanting everyone to share their stories, their mum fails, parent fails.
The camera, Lauren, we've got all these cameras around us. Go on.
And everything.
Sexy face.
We want you to share your shit.
Share your shit. Share your shit.
Just anything and everything, okay? So here, I have a man fail of the week, which I actually haven't read yet, so this is going to be the first time. Let's go.
I don't want to read it.
I'm a bit nervous for what I'm about to read because I don't know what it's going to be. Right,
share your shit.
And it says, my 2 kids were playing in their rooms upstairs, or so I thought, when suddenly I heard them both screaming. In a panic, I sprinted upstairs and found them both in my bedroom. Oh, God. They had been going through my sock drawer and found their baby teeth. Oh, that took so many turns.
That was definitely a sex toy in my head.
Yeah, that's where I was going as well. That is 100% where my mind was going. They found their baby teeth that I had kept hidden in there after the tooth fairy had been. In a desperate attempt to avoid a major traumatic event and not lose the magic, I said that the teeth belonged to our dead cat. And I just couldn't get rid of them. I think I just gave them a different type of trauma in the end. Right, 2 seconds. So close your eyes and imagine this cat
dead
with the small child's teeth. like surely they did not believe that. Why do you keep your kids' teeth? Have they lost any yet?
Freddie's lost 2.
Have you got them?
And I have kept them.
I've got the umbilical cords. I think I might keep 1 tooth, but I don't think I'd keep like a full mouthful.
I remember vividly finding all of my teeth when I was about 12 or 13 in this sort of teapot in my mum's cabinet in the dining room.
Oh.
But she hadn't like segregated them. So it was everybody's teeth.
So,
one of her molars, like she'd had removed as a full adult, just flung in with the baby teeth.
I remember having my wisdom teeth removed, like obviously years and years and years ago. And then I got given them in like a little, like a pot that you piss in.
So
one of those little pots, right? And then I remember after a couple of weeks, I don't know why I got the urge to do this. Don't know why. I just had the urge to open it and smell it.
You're so weird. You're so weird.
The smell was like nothing I have ever smelled. It was the most disgusting fucking smell I have ever smelled.
And I just imagine you opening boffin.
I got such a shock. That is enough to put me off keeping anyone's teeth. Honest to God, it stunk.
Oh, man. Well, the Just Freddy's 2 was in one of me. These earrings, jewellery box. You know they can make jewellery and shit out of teeth, you know. Have you not? Have you seen the little teeth? Was it you that showed us?
Dad's ashes.
Well, I know that, but have you not seen the necklaces that are just made of teeth? Necklace, kids, teeth. I'm going to be put on a register here for Googling this.
What, do they like crush them up and put them in, or is it the actual tooth?
The actual tooth?
No. I'm sorry, but that's like you've murdered someone and that's the medal you're wearing around your neck. That's weird.
Ready?
Show me. They actually look all right. They actually look quite nice.
It's like a Victorian pendant.
That's no one's tooth.
It is a tooth.
That is no one's tooth. No one's got a tooth like that in the mouth.
Yes, they do.
No, it's not. It's, oh, yeah. That one is. Okay. That's so weird. It's like caveman. Didn't they have like tiger's teeth round their necks?
Like, that's quite cute that they've put it in some sort of gel. I mean, it's a part of the tooth.
It's a no from me.
Oh, I've got a sweat on.
Will they do it with breast milk as well? You can do it with breast milk.
Somebody's golden, that one.
I quite like the gold one. I actually think that's quite nice.
So funny. Right. So.
It's the end of our episode.
It's the end. Hey, God, I'm sweating. How do you feel?
Great.
Do you?
Yeah.
It's so nice to be back.
It is lovely to be back.
I feel like we're going to need some jingles along the way for the fact of the week.
No, listen.
Yeah.
If you've got to the end of this episode, there should have been jingles in there. Do you know what I mean?
There may be.
So if someone's listened to this episode, it's going to be like really professional sounding. And looking.
Oh,
because we're going to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
We're going to be on YouTube.
Got a YouTube channel.
We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. You can catch us there.
And please just send us everything. I think we've got official things to say.
Official things to say.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Join us next Thursday. We'll be talking about the transition from being a mum of 1 to 2. And we did a little sneak peek at the start.
Yeah.
But
we'll do a deep dive in there.
A deep dive.
Do you know what I thought? I thought it was going to be lovely when I first was getting in there, and then it's flipped again and flipped some more, somersaulted. Yeah. It's a wild ride.
It's a wild ride. And you always do this bit, so you do this bit too. About subscribing.
So yes, so I've just said, are we on TikTok? Are we there? We are there. Are we staying there? We're staying on TikTok. So give us a follow on Instagram. Give us a follow on TikTok. Subscribe to our YouTube. Subscribe to our podcast. Give us a rating.
Yes, please.
Yes, pretty please. A review would work wonders. And share us with your mates.
Yes, please.
If you can. Well, you can. So if just do it.
Just do it.
Thank you.
Just do it. So, yeah. It's been wonderful.
It's been wonderful. Over and out until next week.
What did we used to say?
Can't remember.
And you don't want us to remember because she doesn't like format and she always fights against it.
I do fight against format because I don't like
I
too
just
much
remembered
structure.
it. Lauren, I'll see you soon.
Bye. This episode of Mama Social, the podcast, was filmed and produced by Flamingo Heights Podcast Studio.
Lauren, I'll see you soon.
See you soon.
I don't like
Why
you
you saying
soon,
Lauren?
soon.
Just say see you soon.
Steve.
Because we're talking to our listeners.
Oh.
See you soon.